Hi guys, I'm Mike and this is F1 Fanatics. So guys, welcome back to another edition of the F1 Weekly News Show, and it has been a fairly quiet week in terms of any major developments. I mean, obviously the past couple of F1 Weekly News shows we've had driver announcements to announce, but there is still a bit of a kind of fallout from Singapore to kind of go through, and then a look ahead to kind of more the tech updates and any kind of things that bring forward in this week's race. But guys, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click that bell notification, and you can keep up to date with all our latest content with more videos just like this. So the first bit of news today is I'm going to talk about Charles Leclerc. Obviously it was a controversial, I think people, I personally I think have said that I understand the call that Ferrari made and it was the best one for them to get a 1-2. Obviously Charles Leclerc during the race was very vocal and very anti it and thinking it was very unfair, and he has actually come out this week and apologised. And I think that showed kind of massive maturity from him. I don't think this was something the team made him to do. I think this is something that he wanted to do personally, that he didn't feel right. And I think with only his second season in F1 and his first season in the pressure environment that is Ferrari, that comes with no pressure like any other team in this sport, I think it shows how he quickly is maturing through this, and it is really amazing to see how he comes on. And yeah, it was really big of him to come out and apologise for that, and I think he will again have a strong weekend this week in Sochi. The next point in the news is Mercedes again and their constant barrage of trying to make it seem like disaster has struck because they've had a bad weekend. They did it a bit after Hockenheim as well, and you just go, guys, I know you're trying to be humble, but it's becoming so kind of over the top that it almost comes across as a bit disingenuous by going, oh, it was a really tough week, but we've got to pick ourselves up again and we got to keep going. It was such a low point, and you're like going, look, you guys have more than likely won both titles. You've had a fantastic season. Yeah, it was a bad race weekend. Just say it wasn't how we wanted. The strategy didn't go as planned. We're going to come back stronger this weekend at Sochi, where we can plan from there. Yeah, it just seems like a constant barragement of trying to play things down, and you just speak a little bit more honestly, Mercedes. I think you've earned the right to be like, we're the best, and to kind of almost brush off bad weekends rather than trying to do this kind of humble approach. So yeah, that for me was another bit of news. And linking to Mercedes, Bottas has come out and said that he hopes in Sochi there is a team order situation like there is in Singapore, because yeah, that was within itself a very controversial topic. Moving on to this weekend, and well, the first ones are the drivers have been very anti the proposed reverse grid introduced in qualifying. That is, yeah, I haven't seen any drivers come out and say anything positive. All they're saying is it's unnecessary, it's not something that we want, it's stupid. Sebastian Vettel, obviously in a press conference after qualifying, did not mince his words, but Lewis Hamilton this week I think was saying that basically it feels like it's maybe getting ready to cover up the 2021 regulations not being what they like. He was saying how the cars are going to be heavier and harder to turn, so how is that better for racing? They're not listening to the drivers' recommendations. They feel like their voice isn't being listened to, and this kind of reverse grid idea seems something to kind of spice things up a bit that neither the drivers nor the fans really want, because they don't think the 2021 rules are going to be as good as what they need to be. So yeah, that was kind of, it's been talked a lot about within the F1 community this week. The next thing at Sochi is all Honda powered cars will be taking grid penalties this week. they are trying to save the best of that Spec 4 engine for Suzuka. Obviously, Honda being a Japanese car manufacturer, they really want to do well, and I don't know, maybe if this is an internal kind of look at we're probably not going to get second now because of how strongly Ferrari have started this second half of the season. So I think for them, they really want, for the sponsors and for Honda, to really do well in Suzuka. So they've gone back, and so with going back and saving those Spec 4 engines, each of Albon, Gasly and Verstappen have all got a new internal combustion engine piece for an engine, and Kvyat has just replaced all parts. So Verstappen, Gasly and Albon, they will all receive 5 grid drop penalties, and Daniel Kvyat will start from the back. And also, I am recording this after free practice 1 has happened, and Daniel Kvyat at the start had, I think it was issues with the engine, because it certainly didn't sound healthy and he had to stop on track. So yeah, maybe those kind of replacement new parts aren't as great as what they're hoping to be. I hope Daniel Kvyat has a good weekend at his home Grand Prix. Next up, we are talking about Haas and their continued pursuit to try and fix this car and get any sort of performance out of it on a Sunday where they can be back competing in the midfield and to the top of the midfield where they were at the end of last season. So they are going to be again going back to some form of the Australia spec car with a hybrid with all the new things that they've been working on. Both drivers will run that, and they will really be hoping that they can figure out some sort of performance gains this weekend, because at the moment they've been slipping more towards Williams than moving closer towards Renault and McLaren. Lastly for today, guys, Racing Point, after having not the best weekend at Singapore, and obviously Sergio Perez having to retire with that engine issue, I think it was an oil leak in the end. He has come out and he said he feels really positive. They said that they got a lot of good data from Singapore, and they figured out why the upgrades that they brought there weren't necessarily performing to how they wanted to, and so he is feeling really positive. So yeah, Racing Point are looking really positive for this weekend. We'll see whether their positive talking can relate to positive results on the track. There you go, guys. There wasn't really much to cover in the news this weekend. It was just kind of catching up on a few things here or there. If I have missed out anything, as always, comment down below and happy to have a chat about those things. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, guys. Like I say, get involved in those comments below. What are your thoughts on Mercedes in terms of their continual barrage there? What do you think of Charles Leclerc's apology, and who do you think is going to do well at this weekend's Sochi Grand Prix? Guys, and always, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification, keep up to date with all our latest content, and yeah, you F1 fans, keep racing.